Hello and welcome to 5 o'clock news with your hosts Nigel Simmons, Cameron Carter, and John Austin Bridges. Today we will be studying about the ocean and its microbes. Ba 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 ba.
A virus is an infective agent that consists of a nucleic acid and a protein coat. It is able to multiply only within the living cells of a host. A prokaryote is a microscopic single-celled organism that doesn't have a distinct nucleus or specialized organelles. Prokaryotes include bacteria and cyanobacteria. According to Jed Furman, viruses are the most common biological agents in the sea. There are about 10 billion per liter. They can infect all organisms, undergo rapid decay and replenishment, and can influence all biogeochemical and ecological processes, including nutrient cycles, system respiration, particle size and distribution, sinking rates, bacteria and algae biodiversity, species distribution, sulfide formation, and genetic transfer. According to Chris Suttle of the University of California, viruses exist wherever life is found. They are a major cause of mortality, a driver of geochemical cycles, and a reservoir of the greatest genetic diversity on the earth. In oceans, viruses infect all living things from bacteria to whales. They affect the form of available nutrients and the termination of algal blooms. Viruses can move between marine and terrestrial reservoirs, raising likelihood of emerging pathogens. We're always learning of new things about the effect of viruses on global systems and processes.
Few of us may ever live to see the sea, to live on the sea or under it, but all of us are making increasing use of it either as a source of food and other materials or as a dump. As our demands increase of the sea, so does our need to understand the ocean as an ecosystem. Basic to the understanding of any ecosystem is the knowledge of its food web through which energy and materials flow. Viruses are typically viewed as pathogens that cause disease in animals and plants. In recent years, however, it has become increasingly clear that they play critical roles in the world's ocean. Of the particular current interest is the influence of viruses on the cycling of nutrients and carbon in oceans. Viruses are abundant and dynamic members of the marine system, but they are sensitive to a variety of elemental stresses that can lead to their inactivation or destruction. It follows that maintaining abundant viral populations requires a high production rate of new viruses and the consequent destruction of a significant proportion of their natural hosts, primarily heterotrophic bacteria and phytoplankton.
High production rates of viruses result in significant lysis of host cells. Based on viral decay rates and electron microscopic analysis, it appears that an average of 10 to 20% of heterotrophic bacteria in marine surface waters and 10 to 5% of cyanobacteria are destroyed daily to maintain the viral. Similar estimates of viral production have been obtained using radio trackers to monitor the production of new phage. Considering that bacterial abundance often reach 10 to the 9th cells per liter, destruction of host cells can represent a significant source of organic carbon, nutrients, and trace elements in the marine food web. In turn, these cycles ultimately have profound effects on oceanic chemistry and physics. For example, global changes in carbon budget and on the planet will affect temperature, which will influence ocean circulation. It has been a quarter of a century since importance of microbes in aquatic economy began to be widely recognized. The world's oceans have been estimated to contain 1.1 times 10 to the 29th prokaryotic cells. This vast abundance of bacteria represents a large production of the active biomass in marine elements. Heterotrophic bacteria have been estimated to represent up to 70% of the living carbon in the photic zone, although some researchers have represented less dramatic values. If deeper waters are included, heterotrophic bacteria have been even more significant to contributors to overall biomass. Without a doubt, the prokaryotes are the most important group in the oceanic trophics, consisting of the largest biological component of aquatic systems in terms of carbon and material processed. If photosynthetic prokaryotes are included in these calculations, the estimates of the contributing of all microbes to marine biomass are well over 90% to the total biological carbon in the entire ocean.
Although heterotrophic prokaryotes comprise the majority of microbes in marine systems, photosynthetic prokaryotes are also abundant and widely distributed. For example, cyanobacteria commonly reach abundances exceeding 10 to the 7th cells per liter. Globally, cyanobacteria represent 2.9 times 10 to the 27th cells in the upper 200 meters of the ocean, or approximately 8% of all bacteria. Therefore, photosynthetic prokaryotes are also a significant proportion of the living organic carbon in marine ecosystems. Secondary production in many aquatic regions may exceed primary production. This apparent imbalance is due in part to the recycling of carbon through the microbial loop. This process results in carbon derived from photosynthesis being reused several times as it passes through the food web. According to a book in the National Library of Medicine, comparative analysis of bacterial, archaeal, and eukaryotic genomes indicates that a significant fraction of the genomes in the prokaryotic genomes have been subject to horizontal transfer. In some cases, the amount and source of horizontal gene transfer can be linked to an organism's lifestyle. For example, bacterial hypothermals seem to have exchanged genes with archaeal to a greater extent than other bacteria, whereas transfer of certain classes of eukaryotic genes is most common in parasitic and symbiotic bacteria. Horizontal transfer events can be classified into distinct categories of acquisition of new genes. Each of these types of horizontal gene transfer is common among prokaryotes, but their relative contributions differ in different lineages. The fixation and long-term persistence of horizontally different lineage transferred genes suggests that they confer a selective advantage on the recipient organisms. In most cases, the nature of this advantage remains unclear, but detailed examination of several cases of acquisition of eukaryotic genes by bacteria seems to reveal the evolutionary forces involved.
Evolution is a slow changing of species to become more adapted to its surroundings. Viruses aid in the changing of an organism over time, and it proceeds via mutation, combination, reassortment, and environmental selection. Humans are the spawn of evolution. From apes to Homo sapiens, we share common characteristics, but differ in some also. And evolution creates bigger diversities in organisms. The biggest diversity of an organism in evolution is in the seas, which makes up 70% of the world. Human survival is dependent of the oceans for food, bacteria, and protection. This has been your 5 o'clock news. Thank you. Bum 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 bum.